Hey, welcome everyone back to Up, Up, and Away, a comic book movie review and news podcast. My name is Joe Gilpin. I'm joined as always by my brother,
Matt.
This is a podcast where we
come together.
How I was. How are you doing, Matt?
Good.
Wonderful. Glad that we could get that out of the way. This is a podcast where we come together, and every Tuesday we come to you guys with a Tuesday Newsday episode where we go through everything that's happening during the week. And on Fridays we get together for a movie review of a comic book movie. Today we have watched and are going to discuss 2002's Spider-Man, as directed by Sam Raimi. Really excited about this. This is the start of the Spider-Man franchise that ran through much of the 2000s. It's a trilogy.
Half the 2000s.
Half the 2000s. No, I stand by it. Yeah. Why are we already arguing?
I'm not arguing. I was just pointing out how many years it was.
So thank you everybody for listening to the podcast. Remember to rate, subscribe, all that stuff. Let's get into it. Matt, would you like to take people through the stats of this movie?
Yeah, sure. As you said, it was 2002. It was released on May 3rd, so...
Nice little beginning of the summer release.
Yeah, like they all
And this movie did ridiculously well.
Yeah, it had a budget of $140 million. You want to guess what it made?
I'm going to guess it made $550.
Oh, way more.
Way more? $800?
$820.
$820. God damn, I knew it was really high. If I'm wrong... I believe it was top 10 in the world at one point, like of all time movie grosses.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me.
I think it's still like 50th. At the time it was in the top 10.
I mean, they almost cracked $1 billion.
It was massive.
They almost cracked $1 billion.
Yeah. It was a huge, huge movie. There's a reason that we still keep getting big, giant Spider-Man reboots. It's because the first one was a knockout grand slam.
And so was the second one.
And then we're also going to have to talk about the third one. But the first two are great.
They really are. You want to guess what the Rotten Tomato score was?
75.
Nah, more.
What was it?
89. 89%
for this movie. I'm going to be honest, it's a little high.
It's a little high, but I will say how Rotten Tomato scores it. I would also give this a fresh rating.
Yes.
So it's just... Rotten Tomatoes just says, is it good or is it bad? There's no in-between.
Best movie ever, worst movie ever?
Basically. So, I mean, I would say good, and so my vote would go and make that higher. So
sure. Fair enough.
This is a solid B to B+.
Yeah, this is a good B.
Yeah.
They made a good try.
Yeah, especially for, like, the first try ever.
They did a good.
This movie stars Toby Maguire as Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Willem Dafoe, who is Dafoe in this movie.
He plays the Foe.
Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, Rosemary Harris. Lots of people. Lots of people. We noticed that throughout the movie.
It's a pretty ridiculous cast. There's some really great performances throughout. We'll get to those as they come up in our plot breakdown.
I know my favorite performance.
I mean, it's everybody's favorite performance. It's the only guy that everybody lobbied to come back. For a very good reason. We are, of course, talking about Rosemary Harris.
Of course. No, we're not. You will learn, though, what we were talking about. Alright, you want to hop right into it?
I'd love to hop right into it.
Alright, the film opens like a voiceover with Peter Parker being like, I'm a nerd.
I wish you were exaggerating more, but yeah, that's pretty straightforward what was going on.
It's like a riding on the bus scene, and like a school bus, and you see Kirsten Dunst, you see Mary Jane Watson for the first time.
He starts by questioning who he is. It's a big theme of identity that runs through this movie, and it starts very early on.
Yeah, that's a good point. You also see her boyfriend, Flash Thompson.
As played by Joe Manganiello.
Which is...
Joey Mangs.
Which is really funny.
Much thinner Joe Manganiello.
Yeah.
This is not Magic Mike, Big Dick Richie, Joe Manganiello.
He's really funny in real life.
Yes.
He's not given much to do in this, just as like the asshole bully.
Yes.
But he's actually a really funny guy.
We'll talk about him a little later on, too.
Yeah. We see that Peter, he's chasing down the school bus.
Yes.
And they're all like, Parker, you suck.
Everybody's so mean to him in this movie.
Yeah, they're really... Except Mary Jane's not.
She's still kind of mean to him.
She's not nice to him.
No, she's still, like, laughing at him when he waves to her, and she's definitely not nice to him.
I don't think she saw him.
She only starts being nice to him when he starts taking photos of her.
It's like he's invisible.
Yes.
It's how...
He's very invisible. And we're getting social outcast and very awkward. That hits us over the head.
Yeah.
Early on in this movie.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer.
By the way, this movie review is going to go very fast. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be fast-paced because this movie is unbelievably fast-paced. I could not believe... We're like 10 minutes in. We have multiple origin stories working.
Yeah.
It never slows down. This movie fucking goes for it.
In the first 20 minutes, we have the hero and the villain like all set up.
Yeah.
And that is unheard of.
Yeah. There's like one scene that like sets somebody up. Next scene, origin story. It's very fast. And
it kind of worked. But we'll get into that later. The school bus was going to take them on a field trip. That's not really how field trips work. I mean, you kind of meet at the school first.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll lead the team. And that's where Peter meets up with Harry Osbourne, his friend, played by James Franco.
Yes.
Big-time actor now. And we meet his father, Willem Dafoe's character, Norman Osborn.
Yes.
And they're a very rich family. Norman is a very successful businessman.
Yes.
Harry, we learn, has been kicked out of private schools for being dumb.
Pretty much every private school has kicked him out.
Yeah, so now he's going to this public school and he's become friends with Peter.
Yeah, he has behavioral issues along with his grades suffered, I assume, because of the behavioral issues.
Yeah.
He's acting out. And
his mother's dead.
His mother's dead. He doesn't feel his relationship with his father is on the surest footing. And so he's acting out because of it. Understandable.
Yeah.
I think the dynamic between Franco and Dafoe is awesome.
Yeah, and we barely get it.
We don't get it a lot. There's only 2 or 3 scenes, but it's fucking really good, and it's great casting.
They look alike.
They look alike in this movie. They really come across as father and son.
Yeah, it's really good. And so in this scene, they've gone to like a genetics research laboratory, and they're learning about all kinds of spiders. Peter, showing how smart he is, actually knows a lot about these spiders. And
it's really the only time we get that he's smart.
Yeah.
In this movie. That's kind of a problem I have with this movie. There's not a lot of Peter being an intelligent guy.
Sure.
Just in general.
We get that in Spider-Man 2, though.
We get that a lot in Spider-Man 2, but here we don't see it. We don't get genius Spidey. Which has been a strong part of his character throughout.
Yeah. We had, 20 minutes of Peter Parker in Civil War, and we know that he's a genius.
Yes.
I think they made that a point to almost do that. And during this field trip, Peter wants to take some pictures of Mary Jane next to the spiders for the school paper, he says. We don't even know that he works for the school paper. But it shows his love of taking photos.
Stick your tongue out. He's like giving her weird instructions.
Show some more leg.
I like legs. 8 legs.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I was wondering if you were going to say that. Then we see as he's done taking photos of her, one of the spiders had escaped.
Yes.
And it webs down, and it bites him on the hand.
A spider that we have been led to believe has been genetically modified in some way. First of all, for sure have better security around your spider stuff, because it's...
Your super spiders.
Your super spiders. Because there's a lot of people walking around there.
It's a field trip.
It's a field trip. And they're just in terrariums. They're not even, like, behind serious stuff.
Yeah. Boxes.
Yeah. They're pretty much in cardboard boxes, but they're cutting right to the chase.
Oh, yeah, he is...
With him being Spider-Man.
He is Spider-Man in 10 minutes.
Yeah, within 10 minutes, he is full-on Spider-Man. But I like that.
Sure.
I like when movies start in the shit. We don't need too much build-up. We know what's going to happen with Spider-Man. Let's get right to it.
Yeah.
He's going to get bit by a spider. And everything up until then, we don't need as much.
Yeah, he's one of the few characters, like, we don't need an origin story. Like, yeah, we get it.
Best movie beginning of all time, A New Hope. Small little ship being chased by a big giant ship. Everything you need to know.
Yeah.
It's everything you need to know is right in that shot.
Sure. Star Wars. And so Peter goes home and basically passes out.
Yes. By the way, Peter is very dumb in this moment.
Yeah.
He's been bitten by a spider. There's no reason not to think it's serious.
And it's swelling.
It's swelling. He's passing out. Why is he just trying to walk it off? Why is he just trying to, like, suffer through it? He has every reason to believe, no radiation, no genetic anything aside, that he could be dying.
Yeah, it's going to be a poisonous
Yeah, you don't know what the fuck is going on. So I think this kind of puts him forward as a little bit of a dumb character.
Or naive.
At least naive, yeah. But I will say, the relationship that we do see when he comes home, the relationship between him and his aunt and uncle, May and Ben, it's a very comfortable world.
Yeah.
It feels very lived in. It's very warm, and nobody's over-establishing a dynamic.
Yeah.
The dynamic is understood, and I think that's a strength in this movie. Nobody takes time to be like, now, Peter, I've raised you for 17 years. And, like, you know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah, there's no exposition like that. You know what's going on. It's a guy being raised in Queens by his aunt and uncle.
When he also mentioned that earlier when Norman Osborn was talking to him. He was like, your parents must be very proud of you, Peter, for how smart you are. And he was like, oh, I live with my aunt and uncle, and they are proud.
Yeah.
And it's just like little shit like that. It's like, perfect.
Yeah, everything we need to know.
And they now show us Norman Osborn at his company, Oscorp. He is attempting to basically preserve his company's military contract from a rival firm. And they've been personally experimenting with, they have like a new suit and a new glider meant for the military, along with essentially a super soldier serum, which is basically a direct Captain America.
It's super Captain America, right? It's come across in other movies before, Super Soldier,
The Incredible Hulk.
All across the Marvel board, across the MCU, we get Super Soldier kind of stuff.
This is not in the MCU.
This is not MCU, of course, but they are still putting forward a Super Soldier kind of serum that's going to turn a regular person into this superhuman.
They say it's to increase speed, strength, and stamina.
Yeah.
That's what it did to Steve Rogers.
Yeah, it's just Super Soldier serum.
And,
it's a very Red Skull opening.
yeah, and also, Tim Roth's character.
Yeah, it's very Abomination.
Abomination.
It's very Abomination.
And so, they basically learned that his contract's going to be terminated.
Yes, they put a deadline on it, which is going to help drive his urgency.
Yeah. And so he, along with his assistant, basically decide to put it into Norman.
Yes.
And to try it out. Human testing.
Yes. And Norman's real, he mentions at one point, I think it's important to bring up, his thrust, his motivation, is he wants to explore human potential.
Yeah.
He wants to find the utmost, highest zenith of human potential and crack it open. That's Oscorp's goal in his mind.
That's a dope villain thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. We learned that, like, they did some animal testing, and, like, a lot of the rats were, like, bigger, stronger, faster, but one of them, like, went crazy.
Yeah.
And so...
And I think murdered a bunch of the others,
yeah.
if I'm remembering correctly.
And so Norman gets injected with the serum and dies. His heart stops.
His heart stops.
And so his assistant's like, oh my god. He's like trying to figure out what to do. And Norman springs back to life, grabs his assistant by the throat, and murders him.
Yes.
Right through a table type thing.
Norman's resurrection. What are we meant to read into that, do you think?
Do you think it's supposed to be like a Christ allegory?
Possibly, but I'm wondering, are we supposed to believe that this is the same Norman that died? Or is it the same Norman that died, came back? Is it different? Does he just have an added layer to his personality?
Yeah, because a very similar thing you could point to is Harvey Dent in the DC comics. Before he was even scarred, he had anger problems. He had Big Bad Harv.
Yes.
You know, who was like his anger side. We didn't really get that from Norman
No, we
Osborn.
see no indication before. And they could have put it in. Maybe he's talking to Harry and he snaps something. We get no indication that he's anything other than a gracious, patient man.
I've said, I really like Norman Osborn. He's like the nicest guy. And all we get to learn that he's not a nice guy is Harry being like, oh...
Well, my dad's a dick.
Yeah. And he's just like an angsty teenager. But it seems like he's really nice to Peter.
Yes, he's very nice.
He does not need to be that nice. And so he, the next morning, it's when the scene shifts and we find Peter. He is now...
going through a similar transformation.
Yeah. He no longer needs glasses. And he's got pretty damn good physique. So he also, what was weird about this scene is we see that his window is right next to Mary Jane's window. They are next door.
Yeah, he is just creeping on her.
Yeah.
For sure throw up a privacy shade.
Yeah,
Mary Jane. And also just don't stare at ladies.
Yeah, come on, man.
You know this. You're not dumb, I think.
Yeah, it's true. We have not been told that he is not dumb. So Peter goes to school.
It might be a Rushmore thing where he comes across as very smart to everyone looking out up from the outside in, but then the teachers come up, they're like, you're failing a lot of classes.
Yeah.
Love Rushmore.
It's now lunchtime at school, and he learns that he's got incredible reflexes. He saves Mary Jane from slipping on, like, apple juice or pee.
Yeah.
We don't know what that could have been.
Let's assume apple juice. I don't think we need to go right to pee.
But
hey, public schools.
He's also got some sort of webbing coming out of his wrists.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, that comes later, though.
Does it?
Doesn't it?
No, in the...
Oh, right. Yeah.
And he accidentally throws a lunch tray of food onto Flash Thompson's back, Joe Manganiello.
Yes. And he's not freaking out at all.
Peter? No.
So he's going through a ton of changes. His entire world has been shaken. But he keeps approaching it with, like, it's basically that scene in A Nightmare Before Christmas where Jack is like, what's this? What's this? Like,
something over there.
By the way, I hate that song.
Yeah.
What's this? And that? And those and those and those. Like, that's that entire song. For 3 minutes.
And, so... Flash wants to whip the ever-loving shit out of Peter because he thinks he threw a bunch of food on him.
He did!
Yeah, not on purpose.
But he still did.
Also, no one's freaking out that there's a bunch of webbing coming out of Peter.
Yeah, somebody would have saw that, yeah. That's something that's going to come up a couple of times in this movie. People are very willfully blind at times.
Yeah.
And I think even in this scene, everything that's happening... to spoil it, Joe Manganiello Flash Thompson starts to try to beat up Peter. Peter ends up, like, karate kicking him across the hallway after Matrix dodging, like, 15 punches.
And people are just like, you're weird,
People are like, shut up. Like, he punches through a locker at one point, if I remember right.
No, Joe actually did.
No, that was
Flash did that.
Flash did that. This would still be, like, the biggest story.
Oh,
everybody would be talking about this for the rest of their life.
World star!
It's the biggest nerd in class, completely
decimating.
Judo tosses the biggest bully in school.
And even
everybody's just like, whatever.
And like,
there's no weight to it. And that's like also going to be, unfortunately, something that I bring up again in this movie. A lot of things in this just do not have emotional weight.
I agree. Actually, there's not a lot of character moments.
There's very few character moments, and I think that's because the plot is going so fast.
Yeah. And that's interesting, because this movie is not even chock full of characters.
Yeah.
They don't have to get through a Green Goblin, and a Shocker, and a Mysterio.
No, there's only one villain.
Yeah.
There's no big bad, little bad dynamic. I guess if you had to pick a second villain, it would be Flash Thompson.
Flash, yeah.
Or maybe Bonesaw. Bonesaw's here to help.
Or Uncle Ben, spoiler alert, his killer.
No, yeah, that's true. That's what it would be.
But that's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's not fleshed out at all. Actually, it will be fleshed out in Spider-Man 3.
Unfortunately.
We will talk about that in 2 weeks. So...
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
We also learned that same morning, or that same day, I guess, Norman Osborn wakes up and learns that his assistant was murdered. And he's shocked to learn this.
Yes.
Almost like he's got a dual personality going.
Yes, it's very Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of masks around his house, which will become a motif throughout the movie.
Yeah, kind of dumb, but he's just got like a bunch of masks.
And it becomes, you have to ask the question, is the Green Goblin mask that he wears the true mask, or after this resurrection, is Norman the fake personality?
Yeah. And I know
we have every indication so far that he has a split personality. So far in the movie, everything says he's a guy going back and forth between crazed and sane.
Right. And of course, when Peter escaped from the school, it's when he's like starts to climb walls. He's like realizing
he's starting to look through his powers.
He's realizing his spider-like abilities. You know, I think he sees like a spider web, and then must think like, oh, maybe I have spider abilities because I was bit by that spider.
I was going to ask, is it instinct-driven? He knows all of his powers. We don't see him try anything and fail.
No. You see the spider sense when Flash tries to punch him.
Yeah. Let's talk about the webbing. He has internal webbing that just shoots out of his wrists. It's organic. Instead of creating mechanical web shooters.
As you've seen in the previous two now.
Yes.
With Tom Holland's and Andrew Garfield's.
And every comic ever.
You know whose idea that was to make it organic? James Cameron.
Really?
There's a Spider-Man script out there written by James Cameron that was given to Sony. They didn't want to make it. Only thing they kept, organic web shooters.
Yeah, they could have lost that too for me. I don't like it.
No.
I think it takes away from Peter's genius. It just gives everything to this spider. Not everything that is Spider-Man was in that bite. If that spider had bitten someone else, you wouldn't have necessarily gotten Spider-Man.
It's like Captain America.
Yes, exactly. Just because you give powers to someone doesn't make them a superhero.
Right.
It has to come from within. Yeah. And part of that, I know that him being a genius is not a moral statement either way, but I still think it adds to his capability to also be an intelligent person, an engineer outside of that.
And I love that scene in Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield when he's like trying to make them. He's like blowing up batteries and shit.
Yeah, he keeps fucking it up.
And even in Civil War, we got a little bit of Robert Downey Jr. like picking him up and is like, "What are these?
Yeah.
Like, how did you make these?"
Yeah. Let's say it, man. It's a little masturbatory in this movie.
They're pretty jizzy.
It's pretty jizzy. It's pretty cummy.
Yes. We thought we.
I will say, and it's the case throughout the entire movie. The CGI, when it is up close, it's pretty good.
It's not bad. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
2002. Like,
yeah, it's good.
Compared to another 2002 movie that came out in Attack of the Clones, which was just a sheen of CGI.
Yeah, where nothing had depth or weight. Yeah, but things that are far away,
big scope shots, big swooping shots of the city, and
that's where you get a little rough. Except for the shot at the very end.
Yeah, I agree.
That they obviously shelled out bank on.
Yeah.
They really, that shot alone cost millions and millions of dollars.
Also, I also like the CGI, and I think a lot of it was practical. Is when like the Green Goblin's blowing shit up.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, Peter is.
Keep going.
Peter is now. Is this the part where we get the scene of him and Mary Jane?
Yes.
Outside?
Yes. MJ comes from a screamy family. In Queens, you say?
Yeah. So, and he sees her, they kind of have a moment.
Yeah, MJ, Mary Jane Watson is a girl that Peter is hopelessly in love with. She's the most beautiful girl in school, as is presented to us, or at least the one that he finds the most beautiful. That was not supposed to be a Kirsten Dunst shot. Fine. No, she's fine. But for a girl that seems to have everything going her way, Peter, her next door neighbor, sees her screaming with her family, having a giant argument. Her father seems like a monster.
He really does.
She runs outside. Peter happens to be taking out the trash at that moment. And they have a little exchange. She's embarrassed. Peter's understanding. He's very meek during this whole scene.
He really is.
He just can't. The words are. He has the words, but they keep getting caught in his chest.
Yeah, and it's almost like, come on, Peter. Come on, Peter. They talk just about life, what they want to do, what their dreams are.
Yes, Peter's dream is to go be a photographer
in the city.
And Mary Jane Watson wants to go be an actress
on like Broadway.
A Broadway actress. Yes.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, that's very nice. And that scene actually ends with her leaving with Flash Thompson, who pulls up in his new car.
Yeah.
And so Peter sees that and is like, new car. Yeah. And so he goes and tries to get a car.
Very teenager.
Yeah.
Very teen. Very understandable.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. For a movie filled with 24-year-olds.
And so he's looking through the paper.
Joe Manganiello from Magic Mike pulls up. Hey, Mary Jane. Like big beard, yeah.
His hair's like way longer now. And so Peter's looking through an ad, and all the cars are super expensive, but he finds one that's like $2,800. It's like a convertible.
Yeah.
And he basically like, that one.
Yeah.
And then he sees an ad right below it is $3,000 for pro wrestling.
Yes, if you can last 3 minutes with Bonesaw.
Bonesaw McGraw.
Maybe my favorite character in this movie. I'm
it's
not
my
kidding.
favorite character.
Yeah, 100%.
This is a good movie.
This is one of two perfect acting performances in this movie. One of two. One of them being Bonesaw McGraw.
Yeah.
Played by Randy Savage.
The Macho Man.
The Macho Man.
The cream rises to the top. I just wish we had Miss Elizabeth, too.
Yeah.
And so Peter is basically creating a costume.
Yes.
We see him, like, drawing, making concept art. I asked you, I was like, I wonder if, like, they actually got, like, Spider-Man people to draw that.
I mean, I'm sure they did,
like Steve Ditko or...
Yeah, Ramita or somebody.
Yeah. Brian Michael Bendis.
I'll say, at this point in the movie, I'm a little confused by something. What does Peter think is going on with him? Because he knows that he is, for all intents and purposes, a freak. He's shooting webs out of his goddamn arms. He's climbing up walls.
Yeah.
His body is completely different. It's a massive shift. But he's taking it with this, like, gee shucks kind of energy.
Yeah.
There's zero emotional weight going on. We do get that in Amazing Spider-Man, if I remember correctly. We'll get to that eventually.
Yeah. And so we see that Peter is going to go do this wrestling. It's not a tournament, it's just like a little thing.
He's really risking some big exposure here, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to keep this under wraps. After I have a steel cage match with Bonesaw on pay-per-view, I don't know what they're doing.
No, it's
just like a local thing.
Yeah, it's like a little local thing. So he lies to his aunt and uncle, says he's going to the library, I think, or the museum or something. And Uncle Ben, knowing that something's different about Peter, noticing the changes, wants to go talk to him. And thinking that like, he's becoming a man.
Yeah, he's becoming a man. He started jerking off or something. I don't know.
He's graduating. He's a senior, we learn. And so Uncle Ben drives him to the library. And he basically this is the big Uncle Ben
This is the big
spiel.
car lecture. Yeah.
Yeah. With great power comes great responsibility. And Peter...
he recognizes the potential of great good or great evil that a guy as capable as Peter can produce in the world. Parallel to Norman Osborn, by the way.
Yeah, totally. And Peter, upset that, like, he's not at the wrestling thing.
Yeah.
Like,
he's just frustrated in general that he doesn't have the life that he wants.
Sure.
And that frustration leads to tension, leads to an argument.
He lashes out.
And he lashes out at Uncle Ben, someone who has been there for him... Forever.
As far as we know.
Yeah.
And so we learn that Peter just leaves.
Yeah.
And he goes into the wrestling arena,
where
we get
be back here at 10 o'clock. I'll see you at 10 o'clock.
And where we get another, not cameo, but another...
No, yeah, she just has a small role in this movie.
Octavia Spencer.
Yeah, she is playing
an Oscar winner.
Yeah, she's playing like a secretary who's like, hey, yeah, sign here, okay, bye.
Like, you gotta get your ass whipped, little boy.
Literally, yeah. Oscar winner Octavia Spencer is in this movie.
Oh, man. And I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
I just was like, what?
Yeah, and then Bruce Campbell is in the scene immediately after. It's
nuts.
Cult hero Bruce Campbell.
Yeah,
this movie has a redonkulous cast. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And so he's going in, and he's basically seeing that all these guys are getting fucked up by Bonesaw.
Yeah.
And so if you can last 3 minutes, you get $3,000. And so Peter, like, they're about to do his big intro, and the guy says, all right, what's your name, kid? And he goes, the Human Spider.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's funny.
Sure.
And he's like, oh, God, that sucks. And so this guy names him Spider-Man.
Yes. Question here. Do people later on remember watching Spider-Man and connect it to the superhero? Or is it completely forgot?
They have.
We get no indication, so whatever we make up is what we make up.
Yeah.
I guess somebody's got to know.
Maybe they're all drunk.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Are they that dumb?
I mean,
or is that what we're pretending?
Full house. There were thousands. There were a couple thousand people in there.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. So Peter...
Real boneheaded move.
All of a sudden, the steel cage...
Bonesaw's ready.
Oh, God, it's so great. I've got you for 3 minutes.
So Randy Savage really is the king of random line reading that somehow always works.
You're going nowhere.
Yeah.
A steel cage had dropped down at that point, and Peter did not know that he was going to be in a steel cage match.
Yes.
But it actually helps him. Do you want to tell the Macho Man Randy Savage story that Joe Manganiello loves to tell?
Oh, yeah, sure. Joe Manganiello has told this story of Manganiello.
Because he's a big fan of Macho Man.
Yes, I'll get to that. Yeah, he's a huge fan of Macho Man growing up. It was his favorite wrestler, so he gets to meet him. And he starts talking to Macho Man, just saying, hey, love you, all that, big fan. And Macho Man is being very nice to him. He's getting ready for his scene. Actually, I think he was done with his scene for the day, if I remember correctly. But the entire, 10-minute conversation, there's a woman that he doesn't know who it is.
Her job, though.
And she never looks up. Macho Man never acknowledges her. She's just constantly oiling Macho Man Randy Savage.
His giant muscles.
His legs, his shoulders, his back. She's hitting areas she's already hit. She's going through a whole tub of oil while he's there. Who knows how long she's been doing this and how long it'll continue. But there was a woman who, she was there, and she was not, I believe, employed by this movie.
It was just Macho Man.
Macho Man's personal oiler, who was there to make sure that he was glistening at any given time. And she did a great job, because he was glistening.
He looked like a honey-baked ham.
Yes. Joe Manganiello does a really good Macho Man Randy Savage impression.
Yes, he does.
And he desperately wants to get a movie made about Macho Man's life called Savage. And I want to watch that movie. I will support any effort to get that movie made.
GoFundMe page, guys.
Yeah, I will sign any petition. I'll throw a couple bucks behind it. I want to see that movie get made.
I mean, the thing about nowadays, too, is, when actors are that passionate about things, look at Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool.
No, yeah, true.
He's trying to get that made for 10 years.
Yeah, and then it's great.
Yeah. So I think movie studios might be that's an actually solid idea, and this, good actor wants to do it. Let's throw a couple bucks behind it.
Yes. So he fights Bonesaw.
Yeah, he fights Bonesaw, and,
hits him with the RKO out of nowhere.
Yeah. Bonesaw actually starts hitting the shit out of him with a steel chair.
Yes, and then he grabs, a pipe or something.
A
crowbar. He's gonna murder him.
Yeah.
That's murder.
This is not pro wrestling.
This is not pro wrestling. You are attempting to murder a man.
And Peter...
you are Breaking Bad right now, sir.
Yeah, it really is. And Peter beats him.
By the way, we are 12 minutes into the movie.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
Like a half hour in. Peter beats him. He knocks him out. He throws him into the steel cage and bonks his head.
Uses him against himself.
Yeah. And so he wins.
It's the only time where we ever see Spider-Man being kind of quippy during a fight.
Yeah, it's true.
It's the only time we get that, and that annoys the shit out of me, because part of Spider-Man's thing is he's constantly quipping during fights, because he's nervous and his mind is moving so fast, and it's kind of like a Jedi mind trick to get people off of their center.
No, I don't even think it's that. What I think, I've heard comic book artists, I was in a comic book, that he said, someone was they said to their Spider-Man, why do you talk so much? Why are you always constantly making jokes? And he's like, listen, I've been beaten up a lot. I've had a lot of loss in my life. He's explaining Uncle Ben. Gwen Stacy, at that point, had passed away. And he's like, I have a lot of loss in my life. But if I can manage to laugh and make jokes, I don't let that win. I can laugh at life in its face.
I think we're pretty much saying the same thing. Him laughing at serious situations helps him and gives him an advantage.
Yeah. It keeps him sane.
Yes.
Because he could just fall into a pit of despair.
Oh, at any time when he actually thinks about his life.
Yeah.
His shitty life.
His parents, his uncle, his girlfriend at one point, all of his friends who died who were superheroes. And even in Civil War, we get that Falcon was there's usually not this much talking.
Yeah. That's true. So I missed that in this movie. We get it just a little bit, but we don't get it as much as I would like.
Yeah. And we definitely get it in Andrew Garfield and now Tom Holland.
Yes.
Really, everything that was wrong about this, they fixed.
Yes. So, and there are further problems, don't get me wrong, moving forward, but they do a good job of realizing what didn't work.
I will say, we haven't seen any problems yet.
True.
Civil War.
True.
That's Spider-Man. So, yeah, Peter goes to collect his winnings, and the guy, the bookie, only gives him $100.
He does not get the promised $3,000 because he did not last 3 minutes because he won the fight in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So the guy's being a real asshole.
You don't get $3,000, you get $100.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't even get, like, the $2,000.
Man, that sucks. And so the guy's just like, not my problem.
Yeah, the guy is openly, wantonly a douchebag.
Yeah. And so right after Peter leaves, he gets robbed.
Yes.
A guy comes in, points a gun in his head, and takes all of the money, takes the gate, and the guy runs past Peter, and they're like, stop that guy! And he doesn't do anything. And he just lets him run by. And
You could have taken that guy's head off.
And the guy's like, thanks, as he's closing the elevator door. And Peter says to the guy when the guy says, like, oh, you could have stopped him. Like,
you could have taken that guy's head off.
It's like, I feel to see, but that's my problem.
Yeah, it was a really good burn.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to lie. That was a good burn.
Yeah.
That must have felt real nice in the moment.
Should have paid him.
Small problem.
Yeah.
Small problem. So, let's break down the moment. It is the moment that every Spider-Man movie feels it must do, understandably.
Sure.
Because it is emotionally what Spider-Man is built on. It's morally and ethically what he's built on. It's necessary to his plot. The robber from there escapes, and he finds a car that he carjacks somebody. And he shoots that person. That person happens to be Uncle Ben.
Yeah. Who's waiting for Peter?
Peter's bad act. He knew he was letting a criminal go. Because I've seen people like, that's really convenient. That's fucking stupid. It's not. Here's why, in my opinion. Peter's bad act...
It's both of our opinions, I agree.
Okay, great. He knew that somebody was going to be negatively affected by this. He's letting an open criminal escape. A guy who just robbed somebody at gunpoint.
Yeah.
So this guy's clearly a villain, and you're just letting him go.
Like a dangerous villain.
A dangerous villain. A violent man. Somebody would have been negatively affected by this. Why not somebody close to Peter?
Yeah.
What would give them any kind of immunity? The odds are it's Ben has the same odds as anybody else in that city.
Yeah.
You know.
It's true. And he was there. And we know he's there.
We know he's there. And so Peter feels responsible for his uncle's death, and he should.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a question. Should he? Because it's put forward in Spider-Man before and since, if you have the ability to do good, and you do not, then you have to shoulder some responsibility for that bad.
Yeah. I think that was a direct line in Civil War.
It's very close. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah. And I remember, just a quick little thing, in one of my college courses, I wrote that line in a paper that I wrote. And then...
Your teacher circled it and wrote, "Bone saw's ready."
And then
you look up, it's Macho Man Randy Savage in a pair of glasses. Don't tell people what I faked.
Oh my god, I would tell you. There's not a chance I wouldn't tell you. I would tell everybody.
You can't trust me with this information.
No, I'm sorry, Macho Man. But and then like a month later, I watched Civil War and I was like, I wrote that line.
Yeah. Oh, you wrote it before Civil War.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I couldn't believe it. And I was like showing people, like, look, see, I did. It's dated. And so I felt really proud of myself that I did that. Well, fun fact about me.
So, Peter, once this is done...
He's crying over his uncle.
He's crying over his uncle for all of 3 seconds. They give this scene no room to breathe.
Yeah.
There's no oxygen in this scene for him to grieve, for him to truly... feel bad, almost. You know, he's still coming to grips with it, and he's already running off because he hears that this guy is escaping, and he has a general idea of his direction. He throws his suit on, and he's chasing the fuck after him.
He leaves Ben.
Yeah, and he leaves his dying uncle. I don't like this beat. I think it's misplayed. I think it is misplayed.
I think that what this scene should have done is that he, especially because what we know later, he should have stayed there with Uncle Ben. I would have liked if he was like kind of cradling it.
Yeah.
He's like got the back of his head and he's just like...
He should be there until he dies. Yeah.
I think Andrew Garfield actually did that.
Yes.
And he's just like yelling.
I'm talking myself into liking that movie more and more the more I talk about this one, The Amazing Spider-Man.
Hey man,
they give this movie no time to have a feeling.
No. Yeah, it's true.
It's like having a friend who they keep doing stuff because they're too depressed not to do stuff. You know what I mean?
They're afraid they'll kill themselves.
Yeah, like they keep like climbing mountains and like going whitewater rafting, and they're an adrenaline junkie just to feel something. That's what this movie reminds me of.
And what I believe what they should have done is they should have had Peter like yelling and crying over his uncle on the sidewalk. There, bunch of people around, by the way, having
his moment.
Yeah, and then he goes home to Aunt May. And then they embrace.
Yes.
And that's not what we get.
We get 0% of that because Peter immediately leaves. He does not think about his aunt for the next 20 minutes.
It's longer than that, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, we see this in 20 minutes time. So it's probably like an hour or two.
Yeah. He gives chase. He eventually chases down the carjacker, catches him, realizes that the carjacker is in fact the guy who robbed the pro wrestling place that he let go.
He did not know that.
He did not know that until this moment. And this is a good emotional moment.
Yeah.
This is a good, strong emotional moment of him just being completely shocked, stunned, and helpless in this moment.
He also takes off his mask.
Yes.
He's confronting this guy as Peter Parker.
I don't know why. He doesn't know who you are.
Yeah.
He doesn't know who
it's
Ben
just like
is.
symbolic.
Yeah.
It's just like,
but that to me says Peter's gonna kill him.
Yeah,
his intention is to murder him.
Yeah. That's what you should think. Like, if Batman runs up on somebody and takes off his mask and that person sees it's Bruce Wayne, that guy's gonna die.
Yeah, maybe. Or at least get thrown down into the Batcave.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything in this scene reads that Peter's gonna kill him. And then Peter makes the decision not to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy just dies anyway.
The guy, like, stumbles out of the window.
Yeah. He slips on a banana peel.
Basically. I'm not in love with it. I think what they should have done is just let that guy go, and then maybe have him be caught just by the police. And then later, what we learn in Spider-Man 3, the same thing can happen.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Because this carjacker comes back.
Yeah.
Well, not him, but like his...
We get more elaboration into this story later on. We'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah. That's what they should have done. I don't think we.
But we can only judge this movie on this movie.
Yeah, I don't think they let Peter breathe.
No, not even for a second. And it's only when all of this is done that you see that he returns to Aunt May and they hug. Which, by the way, immediately means it gives them no emotion. They're not able to sit and talk. There's no feeling of him being guilty.
You know,
you never get guilt in this movie from Peter.
It really, he should have told her.
Yeah, that would have been good.
What if she didn't know? Because she clearly knows when he walks in.
Yeah. And she just walks over and hugs him. She's not distraught at all.
No, I mean, you can kind of hear her be like, oh my god.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it's like, it's faint, the music's playing over it.
There's nothing in this movie to hold on to if you're looking for an emotional beat. There's really not. This movie time is passing
quick.
So fast. Because immediately after that's done, boom, graduation.
Yeah.
And then, boom, the kids are off into the real world.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of devoid of, like, their parents now. Like, Harry and Peter now live together.
Yeah.
And we see that...
We didn't even get an indication that these two were that close.
No, hell no. I guess Norman just bought Harry an apartment and Peter can live there.
Yes.
I guess that explains that away, because they're super rich.
I feel like this movie was banking on people having watched the 1994 animated series.
Oh, really?
Which I still recommend. Still holds up entirely.
Well, that's great.
They do some really good Captain America stuff in that.
Captain who?
Captain America.
Oh, okay. So the next thing we basically get is this where we meet J. Jonah?
Yes, this is where now he is Spider-Man. He is going around fighting petty crimes, and he's using the name Spider-Man. He's upgraded his costume. Well, he's taking this more seriously.
Does he call himself Spider-Man? Is he like, let him know who this is?
Did the pro wrestling guy start to work for the paper or something? Is it a holdover? Do people vaguely remember? I don't know, because it's never explained. Yeah. But yes, he is now fighting crime under the name Superman. Or Spider-Man. I know, call me Superman.
That should be really funny.
Yeah. What? No.
He's deciding to do what he wanted to do. He's got an apartment in the city, and now he's working as a photographer, and he goes...
Freelance photographer.
Yeah, freelance photography. And he meets J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons,
the other perfect acting job in this movie.
It's so good.
He is so good as J. Jonah Jameson. An initial so nice, they named it thrice.
I'm not kidding when I say this. I've seen a lot of comic book movies, if not all of them, and this is a top 10 performance.
Oh, it's so good. It's so spot on, because it's very comic booky, but not overly so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just like, he's like the perfect New York, boss.
Yeah. This role could fit in almost any comic book movie that's done. It's incredible. It's really good. He's chomping on that big cigar. He's chewing every bit of scenery he can fucking find. He does an incredible job.
It's really great.
By the way, is Peter still supposed to be 18, or are we meant to believe he's older than 18? Because there's something like when TV shows end, and they move into the real world, for some reason every kid goes from being 18 to being 23. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, college is kind of skipped.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, they don't even...
Not in this, we know he's in college here.
Maybe they even not, but just with how old the kids are presented as, and how sexualized the women become, especially, is usually a big way. I'll point to one of my favorite TV shows of all time is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. After that show did its third season with the high school, they were all done with high school, one of the characters went over to the show Angel, and she immediately started acting like she was 25.
Charisma Carpenter?
Charisma Carpenter. And when she had been 18 the year before, canonically she's supposed to be 19, but suddenly she's fucking, she's, because Charisma Carpenter was 33 at the time. They basically started acting like she's that age.
Yeah, she was a lot older than the rest of them.
Oh yeah, much.
Back to this. So,
well, that's something that happens, and I think it happens a little bit here.
No, I agree. We also, it was at this point that the Green Goblin strikes again.
Yes. And
he kills a bunch of military personnel.
Yes.
At a testing field.
It was not an adversary, a competitor for the military contract. Yeah.
Quest Industries or whatever.
And they had the glider. He has his glider, and he has the suit that were both being made for the military. Were they being made for the military? That was a little weird to me.
They were. It was a military contract.
Yeah. Were we gonna, use Green Goblin gliders to go catch Osama bin Laden? Was that the plan? That would be fucking badass.
That was their thought, too.
Yeah.
Look how awesome we are, because 9/11 did happen.
Yes.
It happened as they were shooting.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that, because I was gonna bring that up after the movie. This movie has an influence of the 9/11 tragedies within it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are far more reverential to the community of New York, the unity of New York.
Yeah, it's a scene we get later that really
and we'll talk about it then too. And they are relatively reverential towards the military, which there's no problem with any of this.
Sure.
But it really is stitched together strong. There's not an ounce of, there's not a speck of daylight where you could take a shot at New York in this movie.
No, hell no. And did you know in the first ever trailer that it was never released? It was originally it was a bank robbery scene. And Spider-Man, they were in a helicopter, the robbers were. And Spider-Man stopped them. The way he stopped them was he webbed between the Twin Towers.
No shit.
And stopped the helicopter.
No shit.
And they had to edit it out.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Man, I bet that cost a shitload of money, too. Yeah. But, hey, I mean,
it would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been dope.
Because, Spider-Man would use the Twin Towers to his advantage.
Yeah, 100%. Who's to say he didn't?
Jesus, Joe.
Read my website.
Shut up. There are people who actually believe that.
I know. I went to high school with some of them.
Yeah, it's true. I went to the same high school. The same time. So, yeah, we got J. Jonah. He was great. And Norman, we now see Norman Osborn. He's back to Norman. He is kind of has a mental break. Yeah,
he doesn't really quite know what's happening yet to him. Mm-hmm. He knows that he's feeling ragged and tired, and he's waking up and blacking out. And then, he finally has his break.
He talks to himself in the mirror.
It's after his firing, right?
Yeah.
He has a board of directors meeting, and for his own company, the board of directors says, "We're going to sell the company, and you're fired, and you need to come public with it soon because the sale of the company is going public.
Yeah.
So people need to know what's going on." after this, for this company he's given everything. It's his own damn company.
Do you know how much I've sacrificed?
Yeah, he has a break. Understandably, kind of.
Sure.
I mean, people have had mental breaks for far less. I mean, he stands to make a huge payday, but he really is trying to do work. He's not just here to make money.
Right.
He's here to explore human potential.
Yeah. His lifelong goal is now, in serious jeopardy.
And he begins talking to himself in a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
We can either believe that he is playing both parts, or that he's just seeing something in this mirror.
I think he's playing both parts.
I think
he's crazy.
Yeah. It's starting to come across more and more that he is just an insane person. His mind is warped.
Yeah.
When he was resurrected as the Green Goblin, he was really resurrected as the Green Goblin, and that's just taking more and more
control
of him. Yeah.
I totally agree. And so he learns that those board members are going to be at the World Unity Fair.
Yes.
And this second he learns that, now it's the fair.
Yeah. We're going to have a fair tomorrow. Smash cut, fair tomorrow.
And so everybody's there.
Yes, including Harry Osbourne with his new girlfriend,
Mary
Jane Watson.
Yeah, we saw her and Flash break up at graduation.
Yes, for some reason she is dressed like a random geisha lady.
Yeah, she's dressed like an Asian woman, which is like, alright.
Yeah, fair enough.
World Unity Fair.
Sure.
And Peter is directly below them, taking photos, I guess trying to take photos of Spider-Man. Which he said...
Oh, no, he also wants to take other photos.
Oh, that's
yeah,
true.
he just wants to take photos. Yeah.
And so we see that Macy Gray also has a cameo in this movie.
Sure. If you ever wanted to date a movie.
I barely know who
Ruben stuttered, everyone.
And so we see the Green Goblin from afar starts to fly in on the glider. And people are like, oh, it must be a new attraction this year. That's pretty cool. And he starts to blow shit up and starts to murder people. And we see he flies right by the board of directors who are talking to Harry.
Yes.
He is totally disregarding Harry's safety here.
Yes.
And he says, fired.
Which I think points to it's no longer Norman.
Yeah.
Norman has zero influence on what's going on.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, fired am I? And throws one of his little goblin bombs, and it incinerates them.
Yes, it's kind of brutal CGI where it takes away everything with their skeletons, and then their skeletons turn to dust.
Yeah, I mean, that scarred me as a kid.
Yes.
Because I was 8, 9 when this movie came out.
Yeah, and so he's going around, and he's just causing all this havoc. There's falling debris.
Yeah.
And in the middle of all of this, Peter's there. He starts using his powers in public.
Yeah, no mask.
He starts shooting his webbing. No, it's just Peter Parker. It's not Spider-Man at all. He starts shooting his webbing to save people, and then he starts running away the opposite direction of where most people are running. He's running towards the danger, and he's pulling off his shirt, and he's wearing the Spider-Man costume underneath of it.
Suit.
Yeah, his suit. His Spider-Man uniform. That's a problem. People would notice.
Yeah.
People are very, the adrenaline's up. People are noticing everything going on because they're looking for any kind of danger.
That guy's Spider-Man.
Yeah. I saw you at a pro wrestling thing once. I think it's a big problem. It makes no sense. Mm-hmm. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. And he starts fighting the Green Goblin. Mary Jane is now in danger. Part of the building kind of broke off and she's falling. And he manages to save her.
Yes.
While taking out the Green Goblin. He takes out some of its wiring and it just shoots off.
Yeah.
Into this guy. Comic booky.
It's very comic booky. It's very Tex Avery. It's very Acme.
Yeah. And that's basically all that scene. I mean, it's just to show Green Goblin's now a force.
Yeah. We have finally had our first battle between Green Goblin and Spider-Man. And Peter takes Mary Jane to safety to a rooftop garden kind of thing, very nice apartment, sets her down, and then says some stuff that she would definitely realize was Peter talking to her.
Yeah, he repeats some lines.
Yeah.
That they've had one-on-one before.
It's very clear. Is he trying to be found out, or is he just being coy?
He also does that again, too, later on. And the next thing we get is back at the Daily Bugle, is J. Jonah Jameson saying, I want pictures of the Green Goblin. Oh, I named that. Isn't that funny? That's a pretty good name. And it's like, that's a good name. Good job, J. Jonah.
You're crushing it, my man.
And Peter's there, and then all of a sudden, you know who's also there? Elizabeth Banks.
Yes, Elizabeth Banks, who shows up in this movie. For the longest time, she was introduced as, from Spider-Man, Elizabeth Banks, and I couldn't remember who she was in it. She's
Betty Brant.
Betty Brant.
And
very small role.
We just got confirmation that Betty Brant will be in Spider-Man: Homecoming, played by Ann Gory Rice, the girl from Nice Guys.
That's gonna be
so
dope.
they're aging her down. She's younger than Peter in this.
That's dope.
So that's awesome. Betty Brant is returning in Infinity War. So Green Goblin attacks the Daily Bugle and is like, I want the guy who's taking photos of Spider-Man. He's like got J. Jonah by like the throat. And J. Jonah, what a good guy in this scene. He's like, I don't know who it is.
It's just some random person. Maybe he doesn't remember Peter.
That's true.
No, but Peter's right there, and he can sell him out easily.
They were just talking.
If he was a shithead, he would.
Like that kid.
Yeah, he could be like, it was him, or he could even just look over at him, and that's enough. But no, J. Jonah Jameson sticks to his fucking guns. Does not waver for a second.
And he could have been murdered.
Yes.
Right there.
He was willing to face death to keep his, I guess you could say, journalistic integrity.
Yeah.
He's not going to reveal that source. Take that, Julian Assange.
And that might be the tipping point that makes J. Jonah my favorite character in this movie.
Bonesaw.
Ah, god damn it. It's just that he's Macho Man.
You forgot about Bonesaw.
I also just like J.K. Simmons.
Yeah. No, he's fantastic here. One of the best things in the movie.
Now he's Jim Gordon.
One of the best things in this movie.
Really
easily.
Funny. And so Peter shows up there now as Spider-Man. He changed into his costume. And Green Goblin basically puts him to sleep with a sleep powder type thing. Sure.
He spritzes him. He roofies him.
And he takes
Drink
him...
this.
And he takes him basically to a rooftop and basically says, like, you and me, like, we'd be such a great team.
He basically delivers a monologue straight out of the Joker.
Yeah.
It's very Jokery. He is basically playing off the duality of these two characters. They're both going through transformations. They're both similar. They're both reaching the peaks of human potential.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. It's very good stuff.
And visually, you know what it looked like? I guess...
It looked like the Daredevil scene.
Exactly.
Yeah, it looked like the Daredevil Punisher scene.
Yeah, from the Netflix show, which is fantastic. Go watch that. So, he lets him go, and it's just like, think about it, hero! About us teaming up.
Does that make sense?
No.
Not really. Not really. Why would he capture him then?
Yeah, just kill him. I guess because he's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you just play that off. So, I guess really the next scene is the fire that we see, right?
No. Next, we get the classic scene with Mary Jane and Peter.
Oh, yeah. Peter goes to see Mary Jane just to talk to her, I guess, because he's in love with her.
Yes.
And he learns that she's...
Mary Jane, who by now clearly feels more for Peter than she does for Harry.
Yeah. Especially in this scene.
Yeah.
They got pretty good chemistry. I can feel it.
Yeah, pretty good taste to it.
Shut up, Joe. God damn you.
Keep going.
So, Mary Jane tells Peter that she's like coming off an audition and she's doing this and she's doing that, but in actuality she's just like a low-level waitress, some shitty little restaurant. And he's super nice about it because he's living his dream.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And she's not.
Yeah.
And so they have like a nice little moment there, and then she walks away down like a road, and he sees that a couple of guys follow her. And so he dons his costume and proceeds to whip the shit out of these guys who are trying to rob her.
Yes.
And this is the most gratuitous titty shot scene.
Yes. It is a scene drenched in rain.
It was just light out a second.
Yeah, Spider-Man webs down to see her, makes some weird references towards stalking, and then they share a kiss. Yeah. A passion-filled moment because she's overcome with gratitude and emotion.
Yeah, it's like Chase Meridian in Batman Forever.
It really is very Chase Meridian. Throughout this scene, Kirsten Dunst is wearing a white t-shirt, no pink. Bra. It's pink, you're right. No bra. But it's very sheer, and you can clearly see everything. Yeah. You can clearly see her boobs throughout this entire scene. And it's very unnecessary, and it takes me out of the scene every time.
Yeah, I totally agree, because she was, like, just supposed to be a high schooler.
Yeah, didn't she graduate high school, like, a month and a half ago?
Like, she might be 17.
Yeah, well, we're meant to believe she's 18. We have no reason not to. She's barely legal, which, by the way, the phrase, like, there's that magazine, Barely Legal, which could be renamed Almost a Pedophile. And it's not good. It's very not good. No. There's no need for it. There's no use for it. It adds nothing to the scene, but it does take away.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I'd like to hear what Sam Raimi has to say about it.
I was going to say, do you have to put this on Sam Raimi?
Yes.
Yes, 100%. It's the
director. Not Kirsten's fault.
No, yeah. She's not choosing her. For that shot, something that iconic, that's on Sam Raimi.
Yes. And so, next is when we get the fire scene. Is of also Spider-Man, like basically the police department's been like on the lookout for Spider-Man.
Yes,
because J. Jonah kind of turned him into a villain. So they're all looking for him, and then there's this fire in downtown. Spider-Man shows up. Police are like, "Hey, no, you're under arrest." But there's like babies.
But he can do things they can't.
Exactly. He goes and rescues this baby, and then they hear screaming up there, and they're like, "Oh, there's another person up there. There's a woman up there." And he goes up there, and it's the Green Goblin.
Yes. Why does the Green Goblin feel the need to trick him? He's taken him by force before. He should just do that again. Just reach up and grab him. I guess to lure him out.
Yeah.
But even still, you can just go find him.
It's not even like he's trying to hurt his image.
No.
I was like, look, Spider-Man failed or something, you know what I mean? Because, like, what if the building collapsed? And then people are like, oh my god, Spider-Man didn't do it. You know? Then it's like, he's not a hero. Like, he sucks.
True.
But they didn't do that. So they have a fight. Green Goblin throws what are basically batarangs.
Yeah, he throws some
knives,
like katanas at him.
And one of them cuts Peter very badly.
Across the forearm.
His spider sense failed him, I guess. I've never really understood how that happens sometimes.
It's not. It doesn't catch everything. Just most things.
That's dumb. So the next...
It depends who's writing it.
Yeah, I understand. But the next scene we get is at Thanksgiving.
Yes. It is the day of Thanksgiving.
It is... Is it the day of?
Yeah, because he immediately returns.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it is. And so does Norman.
Yeah.
And so they both show up at...
He's like breathing real hard.
Hey. Yeah, and so at Thanksgiving, Peter's not there. Norman shows up. Mary Jane and Harry and Aunt May are all there.
Yes.
Setting up. And Norman shows up with a fruitcake, because sure, that's Thanksgiving. And
no, like, it's fine. There's no problem with him bringing a fruitcake.
Alright, whatever. Yeah, it's just me nitpicking. So they all know that Peter's not there, but then they hear something upstairs, and we see that Peter had swung into the building.
Yes. And
so they all go up there. There's nothing there, but the camera pans up. Peter's sticking to the wall. His mask is off, but his suit is still on. And as they all leave, a drop of blood from that cut falls onto the ground. Norman notices it.
He hears it.
Yeah,
he hears the drop of blood hit the ground. Turns around, Peter's already escaped outside of the window.
Yeah. And Peter then shows up at the front door with, like, some food or something. I'm not sure what he has.
Hey guys, I picked up some magazines.
I got some fruitcakes.
Yeah.
So they all sit down to have dinner. Norman, or Aunt May notices a cut on Peter's arm. He's bleeding through his shirt. And Norman's like, how'd you get that? And he's like, oh...
No, he recognizes it immediately.
Yeah.
I think.
No, 100%.
Yeah. He recognizes immediately that is a cut that I gave Spider-Man within the last hour, and you have it here on your arm.
Yeah. Same spot.
The same exact spot.
And there's blood upstairs.
Yeah. And Norman realizes Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Yeah. And Peter does not know that Norman...
No, he has no idea. He's still trying to play as close to the vest as possible.
Yeah. And so the scene basically concludes with Norman going crazy, kinda, and just, like, rushing out. Harry goes to stop him. Norman calls Mary Jane, like, a hoe for show.
Yeah.
And Mary Jane's very offended. She also leaves. Thanksgiving's ruined. And it's kind of sad. But Harry doesn't stick up for her at all.
No, Harry actually idolizes his father.
Yeah, which is something we didn't get before.
Yeah, he is very reverential towards his father, which is a big turn, and it would be nice if we'd seen some evolution in that, but we never get that.
No. He's just like, I'll be lucky if I'm half the man he is.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
You thought he was a dick like 10 minutes ago.
Also, he was a dick.
Yeah.
He was really mean right there.
Yeah, earlier his dad was acting super understanding, and Harry hated him. Now his dad is a complete psychopath, and Harry is very on board with him.
It's really...
It's an indictment on his sense of people.
Yeah, it really is. We also... Harry, basically at this point, tells his father that MJ loves Peter. And we also have a scene of Norman kind of having another breakdown. He's like, how do you stop Spider-Man? How am I going to stop Spider-Man? You take out his heart.
Yes. You don't attack his body.
Yeah.
You attack his heart. Which is...
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
And he goes and attacks Aunt
Well,
May.
the people close to him.
Yeah. And he attacks Aunt May through, like, as she's praying. Rosemary Harris overacts the shit out of this scene.
Yeah, this is really bad. He, like, forces her to finish up the prayer, and Rosemary Harris gives it 150%. And it's really a lot.
Yeah.
It's really a lot.
And so she's just hospitalized. He doesn't really do anything to her.
No, she's in shock.
Yeah. And so Peter's very mad. He's distraught.
He's upset.
He's by her bedside. MJ's there. They share like a nice little moment.
Yes.
Basically realizing that they both kind of love each other, but it's not said. And so Harry shows up, sees them kind of interacting, and is like, fuck, I'm out. And
Fuck this, fuck you.
Goblin now is basically like, alright, now I'm going to go after MJ. Now that I know that, like, that's who you love, like, I'm going after her. And so he strikes, holds her hostage, as well as a tram car full of children hostages.
They're on top of a bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in those. That's actually a thing in New York, the tram cars.
Yeah.
And on the Queensboro Bridge. Goblin tells Spider-Man to choose.
He's going to have to choose between Mary Jane Watson, woman that he loves, and a bunch of innocent people. Mm-hmm. So it's a bunch of innocent people he doesn't know, or one innocent person that he does know. What is worth more to you as a hero? Because logically, you should save the kids.
Yeah.
Emotionally, it's a little more gray.
Yeah. And so he's trying to break the hero. You know, you're not a hero in this situation. You will fail no matter what. And
classic hero's choice.
Classic hero's choice. Goblin drops both hostages.
It's the world versus his world.
Mm-hmm. And Spider-Man manages to save both.
Yes, doesn't have to make that choice whatsoever.
Nope.
Thank God.
Yeah, it's not really... Because they're pretty close. And plus he has webs.
Shit, right. I didn't think that through.
Damn it, the webs. So, Goblin and Spider-Man are, like, fighting now, like, on top of the glider. And this is the scene we were talking about earlier, where the people of New York come to Spider-Man's aid.
Yes. The 9/11 moment, I like to call it. He has the understood support of the city, and they all come together. You're not going to mess with New York, pal.
You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
And they throw a bunch of trash at the Green Goblin. He gets mildly annoyed until Spider-Man is able to fight again, and then he comes back.
It's such a WWE moment.
It's a very WWE moment. It is understandable that they would have this in the movie.
Sure,
I think for 2002, it probably played wonderfully.
Especially in New York.
Especially in New York.
New York was probably like...
now it's a little...
cheesy.
It's a little cheesy, if we're going to say. It's a little cheesy anytime the city has to step in and save the hero. But I get that dynamic, and Spider-Man is more of a street-level guy than a lot of other people.
Spider-Man will be the one hero you do that for.
Yes.
You don't do that for Superman.
But
you don't do that for Batman.
Yeah.
You don't do that for Iron Man, you know?
It's a little cheesy. The dialogue is cheesy.
Yeah.
If they had just had the people do it, if they had shown without telling, it would have been much more powerful, I believe.
And I say, it was a lot more powerful in Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
Because they had a very similar moment.
Yes. They have them in almost every Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, it's true. They did an Amazing Spider-Man 1 as well.
Yeah.
But that was just
Let's keep an eye. I think they have something like this in, I think every one of them.
I don't think there's something in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
We'll see. I
haven't seen the movie since the theater, I think.
Yeah, we'll see once.
And so Goblin becomes enraged, and he basically throws Spider-Man into an abandoned building, and they fight, they battle, they're throwing walls at each other.
It's so many walls thrown at each other. That's all this is. It's unbelievable how many walls they find to throw at each other.
And,
to the point of it's nearly a parody of itself.
Yeah. He's throwing bombs, they go off, and like half his face gets...
half his costume. It's a very grueling, taxing fight.
Yeah.
For Peter Parker.
And then...
I would not say that he is inflicting similar damage on the Green Goblin until the very end.
I agree. And that's basically here where like he throws another wall on him, and Norman basically gets up, and it's like, Peter...
Norman gets up.
Yeah. And he's like, Peter, it's me. And he's like, Mr. Osborne. And this is where he learns it's Mr. Osborne.
I know, it's very late in the movie.
It's like, we already knew that.
Yeah. There's no tension for us to know that because...
It's not like,
yeah.
Oh my god. And he's just like, it's the Goblin. I had nothing to do with it. And
gosh darn.
And you see he touched something on his forearm.
Yeah, he's setting up a control on his arm.
Yeah, and you see the glider rise up like behind another wall. And as they're talking, and Norman / Green Goblin here make the ultimate mistake. He's like, Godspeed, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And glider comes crashing in. Spider-Man flips out of it.
I think him saying that undercuts his spider sense. It should have just been a spider sense moment.
Yeah, I agree.
It should have been a cutback to the Flash Thompson moment.
Yeah.
That should have been the 2-beat on that.
I agree. It takes away from it. And Spider-Man flips and dodges the glider, and it impales Norman to a wall.
It impales the Green Goblin.
Yeah. And then it's almost like Norman came back, and is like, don't tell Harry, and it just dies.
Clear my internet history.
Jeez. And so...
I will, sir. I will.
And so Spider-Man takes Green Goblin.
He sees it's Norman Osborn. Oh, that makes way more sense now while you had Mary Jane. Oh, I get that so much more.
Oh, the Thanksgiving thing!
Oh, you heard my blood fall. That's right. That weird random thing that only a super-powered thing would have happened.
That was weird.
Yeah.
I just thought you were really...
Wouldn't his spider sense have been going nuts around him?
Norman?
Around Norman?
I guess that's not how it works.
No, it usually does.
Like he can sense just a bad guy?
Yeah, he can sense maliciousness. It depends who's writing it.
Yeah. That's kind of stupid. So, that's basically the end of Norman Osborn. Spider-Man takes him back
Death comes to his own hand.
Spider-Man takes him back to his home. And Harry's there, even though he has his own apartment.
Yeah.
And he's like, what have you done? And Spider-Man just leaves.
By the way, he drops a lot of hints with Mary Jane. He could drop one to Harry.
Yeah.
You could mention, hey man,
you live with Spider-Man.
Yeah. You could say something. You can have a small conversation. He's having conversations with people all the time with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Throw one more out there to try to let this guy know, hey, your dad died, I found him. Something. You know?
Yeah, for real. Not even say you're Peter. Just say, like, don't even have to say your dad was evil.
Yeah, the Green Goblin killed him.
Yeah.
That would have been a dope line. The Green Goblin killed him.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Like Harry, pulled out a gun and, had it at him. He's, kind of shaking.
Not sure we need to throw that in there, but okay.
Well, he pulled out a gun in the movie.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah.
And, but then as he, cocked it, Spider-Man was gone.
Yeah.
And so he's just like, you killed my dad. No. Green Goblin killed him.
I brought him back.
Yeah, I brought him back. And then, I guess that doesn't set up for the rest of this trilogy. Harry's motivation. Even though he's just, I don't believe it, you know?
There's different ways to play this.
Yeah.
I don't trust any of those freaks.
Yeah.
Those freaks took my dad. Done. Boom.
So, he's dead, and now we're at Norman's funeral. Harry swears his vengeance towards Spider-Man.
First moment of grief we see in this movie.
And we've had death.
And we've had Uncle Ben die, and this is the first time we see anyone grieving anyone's death. They take the time to really shove it in there, too, because he takes this time to also visit Uncle Ben's grave.
Well, it's also, Peter's parents are dead, we assume.
Yes, and we get no play on that.
No.
But that's fine. We don't necessarily need that.
Sure. But still, there still could be grief there. The Ben thing could trigger that.
Yes.
And also at that funeral, Mary Jane, weird place to do this, at a funeral, she confesses her love for Peter. So, what a good day for Peter.
Yeah. This is a real up and down. Yeah, what a good day for Harry.
Yeah, for fucking real. He looks over, fuck.
I don't have the emotional space to deal with that today.
The two kiss. Peter, feeling that he must protect her, hides his true feelings.
Sure.
And as he leaves, he recalls Uncle Ben's words, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes, and his arc, from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, is complete.
Yes, it's in the story. The movie is over.
Okay, so that's the movie entirely. Big general thoughts. This movie, as we mentioned throughout, lacks a lot of emotional weight. It also lacks a lot of physical weight. I felt in a lot of the fight scenes that nothing had any depth, nothing had any punch to it.
Yeah, a lot of like...
Yeah.
Like...
A lot of rock'em sock'em.
Yeah.
I never felt like anyone was suffering. I never felt in any fight like anyone was winning or losing, necessarily. Maybe a little bit at the last fight. But I will say for the Green Goblin, I thought they did a good job of making him very menacing.
I agree. Also, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Like, crushed it. We'll get to that, though. Also, another thing, that Spider-Man, he's very resourceful.
Yes.
He's a very resourceful fighter.
Yes.
And we didn't really get that in this. He was more just, like, punching.
No, he uses the same, like, 2 or 3 things to get him through everything.
I guess because he's new at it. Maybe. I don't remember Spider-Man 2 if the fights were different.
We'll have to see.
I guess the villain was different, so the fight had to be a little different. But, yeah, so...
do you want to go through the characters?
Sure.
Let's go ahead and go through the characters. Toby Maguire plays Peter Parker, also known as Spider-Man.
I think Toby did a good job for what he was asked to do. I think there's a little tweaks here and there. They didn't make him a genius enough.
Yes, I thought he played socially awkward very well.
Yes.
I don't think he came across as smart at any given time to me.
He just had glasses a little
No,
bit.
yeah, he just had some glasses for a while. And even when he was Spider-Man, he didn't come across as particularly smart.
And also, my big thing with Spider-Man is what I really like about Andrew Garfield, and what I was hoping they would do with Tom Holland, and they did. You know it's them underneath that mask.
Yes.
With Toby Maguire, it could have been anybody under there. How many lines did he have as Spider-Man?
Tons and tons.
No, I'm saying he didn't.
Oh, no, wait, what are you saying?
I'm saying that,
I thought you meant once he turned into Spider-Man.
No, I mean, when he had the mask on, how many times did he honestly talk as Spider-Man? And you knew that, like, oh, that's Toby Maguire under there.
Oh, very few. It's all ADR.
Yeah.
It's all additional dialogue recordings.
Yeah, like, even when he's fighting, he's normally, like, quipping and doing this, and you just don't really get that, you don't believe that that's Peter Parker under there.
True. It's a problem.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's still very early into big blockbuster superhero movies. They're still kind of figuring it out. This movie goes a long way into helping people figure it out. But yeah, there is something lacking overall from the performance. And it's just ethos. There's no weight to anything that's going on in this movie. But the plot stuff that's going on, scene to scene, pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good and very enjoyable. And just this side of comic booky. It's as realistic as you could get for a comic book movie.
I 100% agree.
Kirsten Dunst plays Mary Jane Watson in this movie. A white Mary Jane, I'll have you know.
I can't believe they had a white woman play Mary Jane Watson.
We say this because as this is going on, we are in the high dudgeon of people complaining that the mixed race Zendaya will be playing Mary Jane Watson in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Like, people on our page are mad.
Yeah, some guy went through, he said a bunch of stuff and deleted his comments. Kirsten Dunst does...
We'll bring that to you on Tuesday.
Yes, she does an alright job.
Sure, she does what she's asked.
Yeah.
People need to learn, Mary Jane doesn't do much. This is like all Mary Jane does.
Yeah, depending. I could get very in the weeds with the books right now. She's been getting other things to do. She's doing some cool stuff in the comics right now. She was just...
this movie also came out 14 years ago.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So, in this movie, the biggest problem I have with Kirsten Dunst, because she's basically used to... her own arc does not exist, really.
Nope.
Her own arc is falling in love with Peter. I never know who she likes or why.
Yeah, she's given 3 guys in this movie.
Yes, one of them being Spider-Man, we're saying, right?
4 then. Flash, Harry, Spider-Man, and Peter.
Yeah, that's true. She really jumps around. Goddamn, Mary Jane. Although, I mean, 3 boyfriends in a year, there's nothing particularly egregious about that.
No. I mean, for one movie, it's like...
It's a lot. And I think that's
slow
because...
it up.
Yeah, time moves very fast for her in this movie. And I never know who she likes. I never know why she likes them.
No.
I never know what she feels about anyone or any particular thing. The only thing I get from this movie from her is frustration and embarrassment that she isn't further along with her life.
Yeah.
At 18 years old.
I agree with that.
So I think that's a little bit of an issue.
They just didn't give her a whole lot to do.
Well, and what they gave her to do, I don't think she did a particularly good job.
Right. I mean, there was kind of like the emotional stuff with her family.
Yeah.
That was like she kind of comes from her.
Yeah, that scene where she was outside, like after yelling at her parents.
That's the best job.
That was the best job she did, and that was the most emotional scene that she was given. So fair enough. Willem Dafoe plays Norman Osborn, also known as the Green Goblin. He fucking crushed it.
He crushed it.
He did a really good job.
He's awesome.
I worried that it was going to be a little too cartoonish. Everything that he does, I find to be earned. Mm-hmm. Especially after that resurrection. Everything that he does is slowly getting crazier.
Yeah.
Throughout the movie.
It's a slow burn for his crazy.
It really is. Agree. Yeah.
It's like Norman Osborn stalking the Goblin. Less of that, less than that, less than that. And he's just full Goblin.
He slowly turns up the heat on it.
Yeah.
And I think he does a good job of being menacing. I think he does a good job of being crazy. I kind of know what he wants. I think that's the problem. I don't always know what the Green Goblin is after.
Yeah, he kind of makes some weird choices.
He wants to team up with Peter. Or Spider-Man. Yeah. He wants to team up with Spider-Man. I don't know what for. To explore human potential, I guess.
To make a team of super beings?
Yeah. Why?
To rule the world? I don't know.
Yeah, listen, there's nothing wrong with a character saying they want to rule the world.
Sure.
See Loki in the Avengers.
Doctor Doom wants to rule the world.
Doctor Doom wants to rule the world. But you do have to tell us what he wants.
Yeah.
I need a thesis statement in one scene from this movie. And I don't get that, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
But overall, the Green Goblin stuff is great.
He's very, very good.
I forget the actor's name. I apologize. Ben Parker.
Oh, yeah.
We can talk. Yeah. James Franco plays Harry Osbourne, Norman's son. He's very whiny in this movie.
He is. He's a good actor.
Sure.
James Franco, we like him. He's very funny.
Sure.
Yeah, he's not great.
He is just there, it seems, to be contrary. At any given time, he is disagreeing with someone about something.
Yeah.
And he is unhappy. We don't know why he's always contrary. And we don't know what's going on with his life that is forcing any of this, why he's acting out. But he is, and we just lack motivation. That's something this movie really suffers from.
Yeah.
That's a key word in this movie.
Motivation.
I don't get a lot of motivation from a lot of these characters.
I 100% agree with that. Like, Harry's arc is just like dipshit.
He goes from pissed off at his dad to pissed off that his dad is dead.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not great.
Yeah.
It's not great Harry Osbourne stuff. We know what he becomes.
It's good scaffolding for the second movie.
So, yeah. Cliff Robertson is the one who plays Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben. Cliff Robertson plays Uncle Ben. He's only in 2 scenes before his death.
Mm-hmm.
But we're throwing him in here because it is such a major character for the Peter Parker universe.
Not the first time Cliff Robertson's been in a comic book thing.
Oh, no shit.
In the 1960s, he was in Batman.
Oh,
he played Shame.
Oh.
Which is not a character that caught on.
Yeah.
I think they created it for the show.
Well, go on Cliff Robertson.
Yeah.
I think he does a fine job. I think there's good chemistry between him and May Parker in this movie.
I agree.
Between him and Rosemary.
I buy them together, and I buy them.
They seem like a nice, cohesive unit of people who are lower middle class folks trying to figure it out in Queens.
Yeah, I buy him more than I buy her.
Yeah.
But I think they're both fine.
Agreed.
He brought that Uncle Ben warmth, and he brought the leadership and just everything that Uncle Ben needs to be. I think that he brought it.
I agree. Is there anything else you want to talk about in this movie, Matt? Or do you want to move right into the rate and rank?
Let's rank this mother effer.
Well, let's start off by rating it, because that's a lot more significant.
Okay.
Out of 5, what are we going to give this movie?
Boy, and it's on its own.
It's on its own. As a Spider-Man movie, out of 5, where does this fall?
I would say, like, a high 3.
High 3, low 4, right? Yeah, 3.5.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it right in a 3.5. I 100% agree. And then, obviously, for the ranking purposes, for the original Spider-Man trilogy, it's going to go in at number 1. Good for you.
Yeah, we're top so far. You will not stay there.
Yes, because next week we are watching one of the better superhero movies of all time, Spider-Man 2. Really looking forward to it. We're getting some Doc Ock. We're getting lots of stuff. Really excited. Tuesday, for the podcast, we're coming back to you guys with news, everything that's going on in the comic book world. Anything until then, Matt? Anything you want to get across?
No, but it's also funny that we talked about it last week when we recorded. It was like, oh no, all this news came out on Wednesday. The same thing happened this week.
I know, it's unbelievable. Every Wednesday. So, if you guys want to find the podcast, we hope you do. Please remember to rate, subscribe to us, and whatever your podcast app is. That helps us out a lot. Giving the show a nice rating also helps a lot. If you happen to like what we're doing, really helps us. Please find the show, facebook.com/upandaway show. Email us, upandawaypodcast@gmail.com. Instagram, upandawaypodcast. Twitter, upandaway show. To all you guys, really appreciate it. We'll see all you guys soon. Back here on the show. Matt, say goodbye to the nice people.
Bye-bye.